Welcome back. Today we've got a lot to get into, and right off the bat, I know that yes, some of you are excited, but for a lot of people, you'll see PvP, you'll see Battle Royale, and you'll want to run for the hills, because that's not your jam. I totally get that, but I would say don't run just yet. It really does seem that this whole thing has been designed for you guys as well. For progress in the vast majority of awards, you don't need to come first place, and you can get that via PvE. Also, this is technically classless World of Warcraft with no add-ons, and as much as I'd love to say, okay, enough teasing, let's get into it, I'll also say you get 750 bonus tender from this, and this is kind of World of Warcraft playing less like WoW, and more like an action RPG. Yeah, there's quite a lot. So Plunderstorm is a new game mode for World of Warcraft. First, what is it? Well, Plunderstorm is officially a 10 to 15 minute long game mode with 60 players. It is a PvPvE Battle Royale that is designed, they say, for everybody, not just PvP players. And looking into how it's designed, and especially looking at the combat, this is not going to play like a WoW battleground that's a battle royale. It will not feel like that whatsoever because of how this is classless and ability design stuff we'll get into pretty shortly. Whenever you log into World of Warcraft on the modern client, you will have a choice of your normal servers or Plunderstorm. And if you're a classic player, well, you can just download the client and play Plunderstorm. You don't need anything other than your WoW subscription, so you don't need to buy any WoW expansions or anything like that, and there are rewards here for both classic and modern. Once you're in, you can customize your character and you can queue solo or duo. If you queue duo, you can do that with a battle.net friend, or it'll just like pair you with a random person. And as the UI puts it, it's pretty simple. Win by being the last standing, kill creatures and enemies to level up and get spells, upgrade spells by getting more copies of them, use heal when at low health. A simple set of instructions, and with that, you're thrown in. Now, you'll also notice on this screen, Renown, and yeah, there's quite a bit to talk about with rewards later on. So now that you know roughly how you access this thing, let's actually talk about the gameplay of it. This is Blizzard's first ever crack at classless World of Warcraft. Certainly I'm thinking of a particular private server called Ascension, which is entirely different, but still, classless WoW, kind of a neat idea. So, there are no classes. Instead, abilities are picked up around the map. They can be looted from enemies that you defeat as well. You get 2 slots for offensive spells and 2 for utility spells. That's things like crowd control, leaps, speed boosts. And Blizzard have essentially said that this is fun first, perfect balance second. I mean, hopefully balance is reasonable, but I kind of get the point. This is more of a big old bash. Now, you loot abilities from chests, from enemies, and so on, and they've given us a few examples. Manosphere is a charged AoE that throws an orb in front of you that will hit anyone in its path. Fiery Axe is a frontal cone. Quaking Leap is a leap where you press the button once to jump into the air and a second time to land on a target of your choosing, so that's kind of neat. Overall, there's a total of 10 offensive spells and 10 utility spells. If you math that out, that's actually quite a lot of variation. Now, these spells come at various levels, and basically the more you collect a spell, the better it will get. You'll just rank it up. Also, there's no traditional auto attack here. That means it's not your standard MMO tab targeting based gameplay. Everything is a lot more based on essentially telegraphed abilities. If you're used to action RPGs, maybe even used to the odd MOBA, you'll kind of understand what I mean there. You do have a basic attack, not an auto attack. Your basic attack is untargeted. When you hit it, your character will do an attack. If an enemy is in range of the attack, it'll be hit, but it's not a tab targeting auto attack based system. Add all that together, and I think you can understand why I said it was far more action combat than anything WoW has really seen. Personally, I've got to say I love this combat direction for a mode like this. I think when you've got fewer abilities, but those abilities can be balanced to matter and be powerful, and you have a strong focus on unique mechanics, I think you get a pace of combat that feels fast. It feels like you do have to pay attention to it, but that doesn't have a massive overwhelm of buttons. I'm pretty sure when most people heard of this mode, they thought of a WoW battleground with all of WoW's classes, all of its specs, all of its cooldowns, and they thought, I don't want to go anywhere near that. That's going to be horrible. I think the impenetrable part of WoW PvP is the insane amount of knowledge, cooldowns, spells, or the add-ons to track all of that, to so many people that is hell, I think that this type of gameplay will feel just so much more approachable for people, and I prefer a stronger focus on a smaller set of tools that you can use in an interesting way with your own creativity. So fundamentally, I think this is better for what this is. Scanning the interviews, it's pretty clear the rules are out the window. They've done stuff like killing fall damage. There's an ability that turns you into a bush, so you can ambush people from the bush. Is that like a prop hunt inspired ability? If so, that's neat. And also, everybody gets double jump because, again, you're not a demon hunter, you're not a warrior, you're not a rogue, you're a pirate, and it's Plunderstorm. Now, what do you do? Well, it's in the Wrathy Basin. Your new resource is plunder, so enemies drop piles of plunder when they die. You pick up the plunder by just running over it. Now, plunder is your ultimate goal, and it seems you get it by basically doing anything in this mode. Now, if you die, rip, but you will keep your plunder. Now, plunder is essentially reputation with the new renown faction who are called the Keg Leg Crew. This is a renown that has got 40 levels, with each taking 2,500 plunder. So basically, if you're a modern player, that'll make a lot of sense. Log in, do a match, get plunder, go up your renown, rinse and repeat. When you spawn in, you'll be in this kind of like little holding sort of waiting area. In there, you can pick up a quest. That quest will be things like killing certain monsters, doing objective, gathering spells, that kind of thing. If you complete that quest, you'll also earn some plunder, it seems. Okay. We've talked about plunder, let's actually get onto the rewards for this system. The first thing is officially Blizzard stated in their blog post that matches will be 10 to 15 minutes, but lead software engineer Orlando Salvatore told PC Gamer that these can even be 5 to 8 minute matches. I'm not exactly sure, but most notably he did say that the average player will leave a match with around 500 plunder. And according to Orlando, you don't need to do it all in one sitting. We don't want you to feel like you're required to play this every single day for 6 weeks when this is active. And yes, this is a mode that is active for 6 weeks. I'll talk about that in a little. Anyway, 500 on average a match. Now, I've got to wonder, will there be other boosts of plunder like doing a quest or ranking very highly, but on face value, 40 ranks of 2,500 plunder is 100,000 plunder to complete the renown. At a rate of 500 a match, that is 200 matches. Now, if I was to split the difference between the bottom end of what Orlando said and the top end of what the Blizzard post says, let's say a match is an average of 10 minutes, which brings this to 33.3 hours of gameplay across 6 weeks, which is about 5 hours a week, though I've got to imagine that there'll be a few little things that could boost you to be a bit faster on that. Again, I suppose it'll just be, how good are you at earning plunder? Because yes, there is the whole competitive PvP side of it if you really wanted to do that and tried to be first. But while all of those people are doing that, you as a regular player could just entirely focus on getting plunder. In terms of loot, I actually do have like the whole list of it. We were able to use the Wago tools to, I suppose, like look into the data. Basically, every level of renown earns you something for modern World of Warcraft, and there are a few Wrath Classic rewards as well. You've got big headliners like this new Pirate Parrot mount, which has dynamic flight, this really, really nice looking transmog set. There's a dueling sword, there's another Pepe, there's pirate mogs that look less super rich pirate captain and far more scruffy grog drinking deckhand, which I'm all for. We took a look at the game files. When we did that, we did see a few other interesting things. Rank 5 unlocked a new quest in Dragonflight. Rank 10 is a Silver Tide Stallion underwater mount. Rank 20 is the Royal Sea Feather mount. 24 is 250 tender. Rank 33 gets you 500 tender, and 39 is the Parrot, but again, dynamic flight, and at renown level 40 you will get the Plunder Lord title and tabard. Now these rewards are of course via plunder, and that plunder is got via the PvE stuff, so you can get all of this even avoiding other players, right? Basically the point is every single match will progress you and you don't lose plunder if you die. But if you do end up winning the match, if you are rank 1 out of 60, you do get 2 special rewards, an eye patch and a tabard. Personally, I'm very glad that the more competitive PvP side is just the eye patch and the tabard, and that everything else can be more the PvE stuff, where players can just enjoy some mass scale chaos with whatever loopy, weird abilities they decide to get us. As for my thoughts then on this new system, I think one thing I want to start with is this. Stagnancy is a slow death for a video game. And the closer I think we are to that video game, the less we will notice it dying via stagnancy. We'll be able to look at every single detail in the game, right? We'll be able to pick it to pieces and criticize it, which you guys know I've done, right? And while we're in the trenches talking about details, other people will have just completely tuned out and won't be interested in the game at all. So when I see something like this, it does appear to be genuinely new, essentially unexpected, and the sort of thing that can actually get people back and interested. Already, I've heard from a fair few people I know who would normally not really care about anything World of Warcraft related, who are happy enough to give this a bash if it just means getting 1 month of a sub. I guess the other side of it, with some personal bias, my girlfriend, who is more of a Pokemon management game Guild Wars 2 player, does think that this is a fairly easy way to dip her toes in WoW, so that itself will be interesting for, I don't know, it'll be interesting for me to see. Anyway, I think this is the kind of thing that can make a splash, that can actually get a little bit of hype going, and certainly as we're going into War Within, yeah, anything that just kind of activates the WoW base, I think is a strong thing. Because this is more of an industry-wide piece of news. Again, even just to think about, and look, I do not watch Twitch TV personally. I have no real place or position or interest in any of the Twitch communities, but I at least know there's a lot of streamers who come with 50,000 or 100,000 viewers who probably will play a mode like this. And there's a pretty good chance that that will be positive for the game's health. Also, Blizzard have said that in order to do this, they've made quite a lot of tech. So, number one, I'd say, okay, that tech's probably useful in the future. They did say that if this kind of thing works, they can do more in the future. I suppose another thing that I would think about as well is, would another Time Rift-like game mode, or the Big Dig-like game mode, would that move the needle anywhere near as much as something like this? I think the answer is almost certainly no, so I think the part of me that is also trying to be pragmatic about what would be more healthy for the game, well, I mean, this does seem like a wise way to do it. I suppose the one tip or the one bit of advice I would have for Blizzard is, guys, you've really got to do some free weekends, right? If a game has got a big event going on in Steam, they'll often do a free weekend so you can just play some of the game, see if you like it or not. So if you've got this big event on the go, and then you maybe do a free week of WoW or a free weekend of WoW, I think that could be pretty damn strong for just getting people to casually check it out, especially if this is the sort of thing that's doing decently, on Twitch and is getting quite a lot of buzz. As for other things, well, Season 4 of Dragonflight, there are some things. There's already been a bit of data mining going on. It seems infinite dragons are involved in the new season. That's kind of neat. We're going to collate all that. We'll talk about it on a regular Saturday edition of the news. As for the why of this, I mean, I think it's fairly clear that they just wanted to do shit, right? Wanted to try to draw out some hype for the game. They did specifically, though, say that the experiments with Season of Discovery were a fairly strong inspiration for this. Now, that's interesting. The guy that I mentioned earlier, the software engineer, Orlando Salvatore, he is a member of the gameplay... He is a member of the experimental gameplay team. Now, if you've been watching our channels for a while, we've mentioned this experimental gameplay team as of ages ago, and we initially were led to believe that it was a classic thing. Now, that evidently led to Season of Discovery. I've got to imagine then that between having the expertise from Proletariat's developers who have previously worked on something like this, and then the experimental gameplay team, that's probably why they were able to do this. And, well, I guess one of the things that they definitely want to push out there with the press, and I say this just because it's on the fact sheet that comes along with the press kit for this, it does say that basically this is us going hard for WoW's 20th year, which, I mean, hey, does make sense. As for my personal take on this, I think that it is going against some preconceived notions and against the grain. Because, if you were to say to me, this is a World of Warcraft Battle Royale, and that's that, and I'm just bringing my character into that, honestly, I'm way less interested in that. I really like WoW as a PvE game, obviously, and I respect WoW as a PvP game, and I think PvP in WoW, maybe even solo queue rated battlegrounds, that's something that I could really enjoy in the future. But it's not a kind of chill out sort of banterous way for me to play. I guess just because the APM is so fast in WoW and you've got to deal with so much knowledge of so many other classes. To me, it's just inherently way too sweaty to be fun. I would sooner be playing PUBG with, pretending I'm a milsim player than I would be doing a battle royale with WoW's regular class mechanics. Yes, I would literally find PUBG to be less stressful and more fun. So it's kind of ballsy, because most people will see World of Warcraft is doing a Battle Royale event, they will think, oh, that's not going to work, it's regular WoW gameplay, and they'll just not be interested, right? They won't get past the first line or two. I have a feeling that they've probably they've actually, by the way, have said they've playtested this a shitload internally, basically because they knew it would be a surprise and they knew they would have to do a lot of playtesting. So I think they're confident enough that this will be fun when it actually gets into people's hands, and perhaps they're almost counting in that to sort of combat people's initial judgments of it. Because I know that those initial judgments are out there, like it's why when I was like kind of writing the outline for this video, I wanted to say, yeah, I know a lot of you have probably heard PvP and you've seen Battle Royale and you've thought, oh dear, that's something I don't enjoy in WoW right now, and it's an industry buzzword that I'm sick of. I will at least say, as a personal bias, I'm not a massive Battle Royale player. Certainly in the past, I got very deep into PUBG with the boys for a while, and we had many mighty times and so much banter playing that. It's not exactly the sort of thing I would have expected for World of Warcraft, but certainly after Spellbreak shut down and when I was just researching Proletariat, I was looking at Spellbreak, I did think to myself, like, shit, that looks like a fun game. I never really got around to jumping into it, and obviously Spellbreak is not an active game right now because it shut down, but it actually did look interesting to me. So who knows, maybe World of Warcraft is the thing that can kind of backdoor a bit of a new gameplay idea into World of Warcraft. I'm certainly interested to see where things can go after this, and just to remind some of us of our age and how long we've been paying attention to World of Warcraft, do you remember the, what was it called, Defense of the Brewery? Or whatever? It was basically, they clearly playtested a MOBA that was set in and around Stormstout Brewery in Pandaria. Yeah, that was like some data mine maps years and years and years ago. It's funny, I suppose, that we're coming a little bit full circle now and they're actually doing some of this out there experimental shit. But anyway, look, I'm here for a WoW team that's actually trying to be a bit more ballsy, trying to shake things up, do things a bit differently. At the end of the day, WoW, I think, as much as we've had lots of criticisms over the last while about details and implementations, the thing that's probably hurt WoW the most is a lack of a big vision and stagnancy. When I look at this, it's new, it's ballsy, it's not stagnant, and I think that that is the sort of energy that a game like this actually needs to compete in the modern market where, to be honest, WoW's not really just competing with other MMOs, is it? It's competing with Battle Royales, it's competing with Tarkov, it's competing with action RPGs, it's competing with 500,000 live services, it's competing with Netflix, it's competing with Amazon Prime, all of these things that were not a factor for World of Warcraft in 2010, when it had 12.1 million subscribers at its absolute peak. It does need to change because the times have changed, and I commend the effort. Obviously, we'll have to see if it's shit or not, but it doesn't look shit, at least. I think it looks pretty damn good. Okay, we will do guides. We will be here to support you if you are interested in this, so stay tuned to the channel through this week. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.